Hi, in this lesson I'll give you a quick introduction to Maybelle Carter style guitar playing, also known as the Carter Scratch. This is a style of guitar playing that was developed by Maybelle Carter of the Carter family, and it's been very influential on other guitar players over the years. And the way it works, she played a lot of arrangements of tunes in which you play the melody on the low strings. You might play some kind of tune like that, and then you use your thumb for that, and your index finger gently strums these little chords on the high strings. So you have things that sound like So I'm going to give you a quick introduction to how to play in that style. If you're interested in this, I teach a class at the Jalopy Theater and School of Music in Brooklyn on how to play in this style. So if you want to go into more depth after going through these 3 pages, come visit us in Brooklyn. So let's take a look at this this sheet. So page 1. You can read all this on your own, but page 1 it starts with a simple progression here. And then you repeat. So it's 3 chords, C, F, and G7. Those are 3 chords that Maybelle Carter used a lot. She was playing in the key of C most of the time. She would play all kinds of things in the key of C, and she would capo or tune down, but that was by far the key that she played in the most often. So you definitely want to get used to these 3 chords. And so to do this strumming pattern, it's a bass strum, if you're familiar with bass strums, but specifically you want to use your thumb to play the bass note, and then use your index finger to brush down here. And if you want, you can use a thumb pick as well. Right now I'm just using my fingers. So thumb and index finger. So it's 4 bass strums on each of those chords. So C chord, F chord, then back to the C chord, then the G7, and then you repeat. And the F chord I'm using is this little F chord. If you're familiar with this one, the little one is played like this. You flatten your first finger out here and to play the first 2 strings at the 1st fret, and second finger goes on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 3rd finger goes on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, something like that. And yeah, the trick is to get that finger flat while keeping these other ones arched. But make sure that your hand's not all the way down there like that or anything, and it can help to turn everything a little on its side like that. Anyway, that's the first thing here. So then right after that, I've got these down ups. So you do bass, down, up, bass, down, up, bass, down, up, bass, down, up. So the up strum is also with the index finger, but you strum down, and then right after it you strum up. And then you go to F, back to C, G7, and it sounds like the baby just woke up from the nap. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Let's move on to page 2. So in page 2 we're going to look at some hammer-on patterns. They're going to sound like this. That's the C chord. That's the F. G7. And then at the bottom there I've got some minor chords thrown in. A minor, D minor, E minor. And you can do these slow, or you can do them really fast. but they're really useful in a lot of situations, not just in these Maybelle Carter style arrangements. But the way it works, so it starts the same way as the thing we just ended with on page 1. You do a bass down up, but then instead of the next bass note, we're going to do a hammer-on. Now a hammer-on, if you don't know what a hammer-on is, it's when you pluck one note on the guitar and bring a finger on your left hand down with enough force that it causes the next note to ring out without having to use your right hand to play it again. So you're hammering down on the string with your left hand. So in this case we're doing, so the C chord's bass, down, up, then we lift up the third and the second fingers. We're going to leave that first finger down, and we're going to hammer, and then we do another down up. And these down ups should all be on the first 3 strings. We should just be aiming for the high strings for the strums. Hammer, bass, down up, hammer, down up, bass, down up, hammer, down up, bass, down up, hammer, down up. Now practice that a bunch, and if your hammer isn't very loud at first, if it sounds something like that, that's okay. Just keep going. Try to get the rhythm right. If the first note's clear and you bring your finger down at the right time, eventually you'll start playing something that sounds pretty, even if it's not perfectly even at first. So that's the C chord. And again, I do recommend bringing up both of these fingers, the third and the second, when you do this. There are a couple reasons for that. One is that if you leave your third finger down, this note keeps ringing, and it sort of gets in the way of the sound. Maybe you can't hear that, but I think it sounds better if you lift them both off. And it also clears some space over here, so you're not going to block that string by muting things. So I recommend lifting both of those off, but leave the first finger down the whole time. And if we go really slow, it's about that speed. So that's the C. The F is going to work the same way. You pluck the 4th string for the bass, down, up, and you're going to lift up your second and third fingers, leave the first finger down. Same kind of rhythm, hammer on the same spot, but now it's on the 3rd string. And the G7 also works the same way. Hammer on the 5th string, and lift up both of these fingers, but leave that first finger down. So you can take these patterns and put them into any song you know that is based on those 3 chords. I don't know, it could be anything. You could play, "This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me." You can do that, or anything really. So then the minor chords, they're all going to start with an open string. With the A minor, you start on the open 5th string, and then you hammer with that 2nd finger. And that's the only one you need to lift up. Although some people like to do it like this. You lift up all 3 of your fingers, but I usually just lift up that one. There are a lot of songs that will add some extra strums on those minor chords. I think, so a couple that come to mind, I think Masters of War, the Bob Dylan song, is kind of like that. I forget if it's in this key, but I think it's a pattern kind of similar to that. Or also John Lennon, Working Class Hero, that's got kind of a similar sound. But yeah, now I'm also thinking of Ghost Riders in the Sky. Anyway, lots of songs you could use that pattern for. D minor, you can play the open 4th string, and hammer on to the 3rd string, so you lift up your 2nd finger and bring it down. And then E minor. Hammer on the 5th string, open string on the 6th string. through those chords in any order and it would sound nice. So those are hammer-on patterns. Try throwing those into some songs. So then page 3 of this thing, Maybelle Carter style arrangements. So when we were doing those hammer-on patterns, I was telling you to leave the first finger down for the C chord, the first finger down flattened for the F chord, and the first finger down on the first string for the G7 chord. So that's something you should get in the habit of doing when you're playing a Maybelle Carter style arrangement. So you'll be playing these moving bass notes around here, the melody down there. But if you want a C chord in the harmony, just leave that down. Move those other fingers around. You could play all kinds of things like that. And then for the F chord, yeah, and actually I've written for the F chord, actually also leave your second finger down. Unless you want to play an open third string at some point, but in general, just leave that whole thing down. You might sometimes want to use it if you want to get like some of those extra notes down. You might have to lift the second finger up, but in general, leave both of those down. And then for the G7, leave that first finger down on the first string. So after this, we've got this is a little scale. It's part of a scale that involves leaving that first finger down. So if we play part of a C scale, but leave the first finger down the whole time. And for that first note, I recommend putting the whole C chord down, and then open fourth string, and then I put that second finger right back down on the fourth string, and then lift it up and third fret of the fourth string, then open third string, and then back down to 3 on the fourth string, 2 on the fourth string, open, and then 3 on the fifth string. And then here we've got bass, down, down, up, and then on the bass. So let me play all that again for you. So that would be a very good thing for you to practice, and then you could also just try mixing up those notes, playing them in a different order. So at the bottom of this, there's the beginning of Wildwood Flower, which is a classic Carter Family song. It's originally a lot older than that. I think Civil War era, I think the tune originally was, but or it was sometime around back then. But the Carter Family version is the version that people know the song from now, and that on that recording they did it in a Maybelle Carter style. Yeah, Maybelle played in a Maybelle Carter style, as she liked to do. But the way the beginning of it works. So this is a little bit simplified from what she does, but it gives you the basic idea. So you start with that first finger, you're going to hold it down, and you play those 2 notes, and then the open third string, then strum. And then put your second finger down here on the third string, and back to this note. Now the fourth string, strum, third fret, second fret, open, and then we're switching to a G7, so the finger moves from here to there. And then second fret of the fourth string, then open, and then down to the third fret of the fifth string. Like that. And if that starts to get easy for you, you could add an up strum after all those down strums. Yeah, so that's the beginning of it. So after you learn that, you can try learning the rest of it, but start with just that little bit. So that's a preliminary intro to the Maybelle Carter style of playing the guitar. Practice all this stuff, and then you're in a good place to start looking at some of her actual arrangements. Yeah, and if you're interested, I teach a class on the songs of the Carter family at the Jalopy Theater and School of Music in Brooklyn, New York. Have a good day.